out just looking at each other or the camera or?
Relax.
Courtney's still on his phone, so you know.
Do what they're doing now.
What was it? Start off looking at Kevin.
Okay, all right. Thank
All right,
you,
y'all, what's going on?
Victoria.
This is your man, Von J, and welcome. I know y'all used to hearing me on the radio, but today we're doing a little something different. We are having a college conversation. So, to let you know what's going on today, let's start out like this. Today, we're having a college conversation, which I didn't know September is the College Application and Exploration Month. This month is all about empowering students, the state of Tennessee, the future of higher education. So, Memphis Shelby County Schools is pleased to participate in this initiative, working hard to ensure that every student, regardless of their grade level, socioeconomic status, has the opportunity to explore and apply for post-secondary opportunities. So, let's get into our panelists so we can let y'all know who's all in the building. So first, we got Dr. Constance B. Sershin, MSCS High School Counseling Service Manager.
Give it up for
Thank you, thank you.
Next, we have Mr. Courtney Richardson, CEO of Peer Power Foundation.
Courtney.
Also, we have Dr. Sean Boyd, Director of Post-Secondary Education at SCORE.
Go
And
Sean.
Mr. Matt Jones, Assistant Director of Recruitment, Undergraduate Admissions, and Orientation.
Thank you.
So
right,
welcome to everybody that's coming in today. So now this is what we're about to do. We're going to get into college readiness. So I'm going to just ask some questions and feel free to just jump in when you want to. So this is the first question. What does college readiness mean and why is it crucial for high school students? Anyone?
Go ahead, Dr. Sershin, kick us off.
So I think from an academic standpoint, college readiness speaks to students having the knowledge and the skills that will translate into post-secondary educational setting. And so that's why we push our students to, attend school, to work really hard, to take rigorous and challenging coursework, because the hope is that when they get on a college campus, they're prepared to do college level work. So college readiness from an academic standpoint really speaks to that. I could also say that from a career standpoint, it's about that student having that knowledge of themselves and what their career goals are and how that translates into post-secondary plans.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. And yeah, just to add to what Dr. Sershin just mentioned, really just starting that exploration stage of like, hey, where should I end up, start with the end in mind and see how that translates from your junior, senior year in high school into like what post-secondary institution that a student wants to attend.
And I'll say, this being ready for college, there's the academic component, there's the exposure piece, being exposed. And I think this whole idea of ready, there are a lot of situations in life where we will pause until we feel like we're ready. And I think that there is fear associated with that next step for many of our young people. So sometimes being ready means having the community around you that are able to affirm the fact that you are ready even when you don't feel like you're ready. And what we all know is that there's this whole idea also of feel the fear, but do it anyway, right? And so making sure that our young people understand that this may be new for you, you may be first generation, and you may not have the support that you need inside of your family. You may be, first in your family to go to college. But feel the fear. Do something different. You can be different. You can be different in your family. And I think for many of us, that's our own story, right? We're different. We decided to take a different path.
Did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I would go along with what Dr. Boyd was saying, kind of having the end in mind, knowing what kind of place you want to go to, what kind of institution you want to attend. And one step in that process, I think it's important, you got to get to know the institution. And so that is going to involve like doing some research on your own, getting on a website, making some phone calls. I think it's also going to involve like actually visiting an institution and actually feeling what it's like to walk on that campus and being able to really picture yourself at that place. How does it feel? How are you going to fit in there?
And see, that leads me into my next question. What are some of the key steps that students can do to get ready or think they're ready or be ready? What are some key steps students can take?
I was going to say, Matt just pretty much just stated it. You know, I think starting off with college tours, college visits. I know Memphis Shelby County Schools host many fairs, college fairs during the school year. And so, like you said, really getting a chance to get on their college campus, talk to students, talk to staff members, faculty, and really say, do I really envision myself here? I think it's really about fit, college fit as we call it. And so if you really don't feel like you fit there, you're probably not going to stay there. And so when you get there and say, hey, this feels natural, I want to be here, I want to complete, I want to graduate, that's a huge step.
So let me ask you this. Is it possible to go to a school more than once? Like say if that first visit wasn't,
Yes.
like I need
Yes.
to go back.
Absolutely.
sure.
And I'll say for peer power, you know, our core model is that we're in the school during the day, helping move the needle academically on like those tested subjects, and we're also doing ACT prep. Well, we also recognize the importance of taking our students from their community and letting them get those college experiences. So many experiences. Many of the opportunities that we provide for students here in Memphis are on the University of Memphis campus.
Okay.
I believe, you know, our ACT prep is on the University of Memphis campus, and one of the things I say is, what better place to prepare than the place you're preparing for, right? So they're in a classroom, knowing what it's like to sit in a classroom that looks different than some of our public schools, right?
That's true.
It's a state school, and they're seeing campus life. So that the more frequent you can visit these campuses, I think that's the best. And of course, I am going to be a huge supporter of our students here locally going to the University of Memphis. And I think, you know, absolutely. And so I think that there's some other options. I think I think exposing our students to the University of Memphis over and over again, for me, is something that we take much pleasure and delight in.
I wanted to add to that, though. I think that there's some micro steps that students and their families can take, because we realize that it's not always practical for some students and their families to visit a college campus, say, outside of the Memphis area, even though that may be something that's desirable. And so one thing that I really love that we do within Memphis Shelby County Schools is that we have a program called Naviance, where students can explore and research colleges online. And I think that sometimes for a lot of students, even for middle school students who maybe not quite ready yet to seriously consider college, that they can start to explore schools online. SAT has Big Future, ACT has a college engine built into, a college search engine built into their website. And to me, that's a really good place to start. There's a college comparison chart where you can look at all the different variables on, you know, and just kind of look at them in categories in terms of comparing sizes of various institutions, the majors that they offer, scholarship opportunities, and sometimes seeing it on paper is great, and from there you can translate that to now have my list, my top 3 or my top 5 that I want to visit. You can be a little bit more strategic, I think, when you sometimes start with that online exploration.
I think that there's a couple of, there's a lot of times when I'm speaking with students, there's 3 really big pieces to the puzzle. There's a lot of pieces to the puzzle, but 3 of the largest ones are visiting the campus and things like that, like we talked about. But it's also, you know, having an idea, and one of us mentioned it already, of what direction are you going in? What do you want to do? What are you trying to study? You want to know whether or not that institution has the academic programs you want to pursue, of course, right? That's natural. And also, like, you want to know if this is going to be something that's financially feasible and affordable for you and your family, which is one of the larger pieces. Right. Those are kind of my 3 pillars of choosing your college is, does it get you where you want to go? Is it affordable? And can you feel yourself fitting in on that campus?
Right. You know, I'm thinking about, you talked about this whole piece of being exposed to particular college campuses. Right. One of the things that I'm thankful I had the opportunity to do was go to like junior visits at colleges and really start early, because there are colleges that have programs that are geared toward allowing students who come from communities like much of the community that Memphis Shelby County Schools serves, giving them the opportunity to go early to experience their.
So put a pin, not to cut you off, because you brought something, you made me think something. So how early is too early, or can it be too early?
It can never be too early. I think about my son who's now 9th grader, Memphis Shelby County Schools East High School. And this past summer, he participated in a peer power camp on the campus of University of Memphis. And I remember him coming home one day and said, I think I want to go to University of Memphis. And he just sparked this like excitement.
And how did you respond?
Go Tigers!
Go Tigers, go! Go on to victory! Seal your victory through and through.
grade, but I even think going down to elementary, like the earlier the better. You know, we look at literacy rates in the 3rd grade, right? So why not bring college reps in? Why not do college visits in elementary, because they start really getting that excitement early.
I think
I'm sorry.
I think it is really important to start early in high school, at least early in high school. You know, I did about 8 years. I say I did about 8 years. I was employed for about 8 years in financial aid and scholarships, right? And GPAs are such a big component of scholarship opportunities. Of course, ACT scores, SAT scores too, but you know, you got to think every year is 25% of your GPA. So you got to be thinking about that freshman year just as importantly as you think about that senior year. So true.
And in some cases, even the 8th grade year, if they're taking those high school courses in the 8th grade. I wanted to say, to Sean's point about it's never too early, I totally agree. I know a few families that said that, you know, early on when their students were maybe in middle school, they would utilize the family vacation as an opportunity to take their child on a college visit. So if I know we're going to Atlanta for summer vacation, guess what? We're visiting Emory, we're visiting Spelman, we're visiting, you know, and I love that idea, and it's something that I hope to, you know, integrate into my own summer, my family vacation.
It sounds like we should, with peer power and the counselors, maybe we should start a competition for families that go on vacation.
Look how they just make it.
They go on vacation. They can send us pictures, and then we'll just put them in a hat and do a drawing or something for Sean's book.
There you go.
You know how to play the game of college, right? And, and we just came up with that right here, because it's for the kids. This is a group of passionate people.
This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go to the next part. That was a great segment. So the second one is college admissions. So what are some key factors colleges consider for admissions?
Yeah, I guess I could kick it off. So before my current role, now I do policy work, but I've been in higher education for 15 years in admissions, recruitment. And I would say one thing that I look for with students, or, you know, on the recruitment side, is just them being their authentic selves, right? And so when they're writing college essays, or, you know, coming on college interviews, or even at a fair, you know, I know that sometimes students kind of try to put this other persona on, and I'm like, tell me your real story. Like, why are you interested in the University of Memphis or Middle Tennessee State? Let me throw that in there. MTSU. You know, so really sharing their story. And if you had a bad grade, right, in English or 9th grade year, you know, maybe having a plan for, you know, I made the bad grade, this is why, but this is the solution, or how I can really do better. So just being you, I think, is the key thing.
You know, I think you in admissions, but one of the, let me say, one of the myths right now, and I know a lot of colleges and universities have stopped looking at the ACT score as admissions. Not all schools have X'd the ACT score out altogether, but even that myth that you don't need to take the ACT, we got to dispel that, because ACT is still being used for many merit-based scholarships. And for our Hope Lottery Scholarship, I know that it's GPA or ACT now, but that ACT is also used for placement. So it may not be used for admissions, but it's used for placement to see if you're going to take remedial courses and all of that type of thing. But this is Mr. Admissions.
That's correct. That's correct. And so, you know, like those are very important things. Being your authentic self, of course. A student's narrative is going to be something that really comes through in any essays that they need to write, and that's going to be true for admissions purposes and also for scholarship purposes. And I just want to echo, you know, what Courtney was saying here is like that it's during the COVID years, we did have a period of time where a lot of colleges were going completely test optional, test flexible, and things like that. There is somewhat of a trend of a return to pre-COVID policies on that now. And so taking the ACT or the SAT, that standardized test, is still going to be very important for our students to do. GPAs are also always going to be very important as well. And so, like, you know, from day one, just trying to have the best grades you can possibly have, that's an indicator of kind of like a indicator of work ethic in a way, instead of just like I took a test in one day and got a good grade. I worked hard over a whole period of time and things like that. So
I like that. So I want to get into the next segment, and I've always had a problem saying this word. You can't say it real fast. What is FAFSA? Now say the word. FAFSA. Say that real fast. So what is that, and why is it important for college-bound students?
So The FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid, and it is very important for students to complete that with their parents, with their families, because it's the source for a lot of students to receive their financial support that they need to be able to enroll in school, to stay in school. Even though there's some scholarships that can be merit-based, still completing that application is sometimes an essential part of that process. And I know this is also Mr. FAFSA here, so
worked several years with the FAFSA, and it's a cornerstone of financing your education, right? You know, and that's a difference for, you know, coming out of a public school situation and going to college. In most cases, it's going to be a monetary component to that. And so the FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. Notice the first F of FAFSA is free. You should never pay an application fee for funding for college. That's right. So it's free. Studentaid.gov is the right spot. Now, real quick, things that we need to know this year for our current senior class. This year, FAFSA is not going to be available until December. Every other year, it's in October. Right. The earlier, the better, because there's a significant amount of money from the federal government, the state government, and sometimes even institutions based on the FAFSA. The earlier you complete the FAFSA, the better. Again, this year, December. Every other year, October.
But every other year is October. So what are some common misconceptions or challenges do students face when completing the application, the FAFSA?
So many myths. So many myths. Yeah.
So this parent involvement piece, I think, is one of the barriers. I think that's a part of the question. Like, parents have to be involved in that process. And we find that a lot of times, that's one of the things that keeps our students from being able to take advantage of those free funds sooner rather than later.
And I do want to say, last year, my current role, Tennessee SCORE, we had a chance to collaborate with Memphis Shelby County Schools, University of Memphis, Southwest, TCAT, and I'm happy to say last year FAFSA rates flew through the roof just by the collaboration piece. And so colleges coming together, the high schools coming together. We did not pizza nights, we did Saturdays. And do you want to share? I think we had some state winners as well.
We ended up going from having 3 overall champions in our district to having 19. So that means that our schools are incredible growth in the number of them completing it.
Let me give a shout out to the counselors over at BTW, because BTW and Peer Power partnered on FAFSA nights, and they were a FAFSA champion in the state. So I want to give a shout out to Ms. Triplett and Marlon Ross, our program director over there.
Okay, so let's talk about this. Why Apply Day? Free application day is on tomorrow, September 22nd. What is the purpose of Why Apply Day, and how can students take advantage of it?
The first word, free.
That's the most important. That's the most important.
Ain't no cost you nothing. And it often doesn't take that long to fill out a college application. It's mostly pretty basic information. I will say this, the University of Memphis, the entire month of September.
That's right.
It's free application month for the University of Memphis. So it's not just tomorrow, it's all the way through the end of this month. And in many schools, many colleges in the state are doing that. I won't just say it's just Memphis. It's a lot of schools across the state. Some are doing a day, some are doing a week, some are doing the month. But yeah, it's the perfect time to apply. It's the perfect time to apply to college.
You can't be free.
Because you get to beat some of those deadlines, and then there's just this synergy around it that I think is really exciting in the schools right now. This is kind of that time where you want to jump in and say, hey, I'm applying to this school, I'm applying to that school, and that way you're not waiting to the last minute to take care of this very critical step in the process.
And I think one of the other critical components about college prep and this free piece, somebody say free. Free. I like that free word. It can't be free. It's free. So apply so that you can increase your options. Even if you're not interested, it is free. And so a lot of, we do work at Whitehaven High School, and we have $1 Million Scholar Day, and these students receive academic scholarships from all over the country, and they get a chance to have options. Somebody say options. They get a chance to have options, and oftentimes when you're living a life that is impoverished, what you lack is options. And so this being free application month, FAFSA being free, apply so that you can increase your options for you and your children, your little cousins, all of that kind of stuff. Somebody say free options.
Free options.
I like that. I like that. Just marry those together.
For the Why Apply Day, and for the local area, are there any specific resources or events planned for Why Apply Day in the local area? Is there any events planned?
So several of our high schools have had events going on throughout the month. I know a lot of them have college visits either lined up for tomorrow to help highlight that, but it's been an ongoing thing throughout this entire month. We kicked it off with all of our high schools attending the Southern Heritage Classic College Fair, where some students were able to apply to schools on the spot there. And so there's really been this month-long push, but we know that tomorrow is the day that we really want to highlight it, and we've encouraged schools to host their own individual events. And not only that, we've encouraged them to get their faculty and just other district staff involved by wearing their college gears tomorrow.
Yeah, that's what MSCS is going to do. They're going to support by wearing the college gear and everything and stuff like that. So all of y'all going to be there?
We're there.
We are.
So many plans.
And I think that this is an initiative that we're even trickling down to the elementary and the middle school level, because as you were talking about the exposure and the early access to information, we can do that simply by way of our attire. Just imagine for a child to walk into their classroom in their school building, an elementary school student, and see all of these teachers representing all these different colleges and universities. It's a conversation starter, like, oh, so Miss Johnson is wearing a Grambling shirt today. My aunt went to Grambling, or what's Grambling?
And that's important for the kids to see that. So we got about 60 seconds. So we're gonna do some closing words, and we're gonna close out. First of all, I want to thank y'all for taking this time out of y'all day to come through and sit with us. So we got about 60 seconds, and we'll start and work our way down. Just some closing words that you want to say.
Yeah, so I'm always pulling my book, how to Play the Game of College. They could go to Amazon to get a copy, Dr. Sean Boyd. And yes, here we go, yes, here we go. On my website, www.drseanboyd.com, game changer. I'm breaking the code, get this book.
That's right.
Yes.
It is free to apply to college at the University of Memphis all month, at other institutions definitely by tomorrow. Cannot hurt to apply. It's free. Take that few minutes, submit your applications. It's going to be worth it to give you those options.
Sure.
And I just want to encourage them to seek out their school counselors. Remember, that is your #1 resource right there in your building, not just this month, but throughout the year, for any information that's needed about the college application process or exploration process as well.
Yeah, and I'll say we're happy as an organization prepared to partner with Memphis Shelby County Schools. We are offering this fall break. We have a free ACT prep camp that's happening on the campus of the University of Memphis Monday through Friday. Transportation is going to be provided from a few of our local schools. It is free. You're going to get 30+ hours of ACT prep. And so come on, go to our website, peerpowerfoundation.org, so that you can fill out a registration form.
All right, y'all. My name is Kavan J, and we want to thank y'all for tuning in. Make sure you go to mscsk12.org for all the information that we talked about today and previously. All right? Y'all know what it is. We are out of here. Thank y'all for tuning in.
It's just like the outro music.
I know.